Hello, everyone. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's totally free. They also have creation tools that allow you to edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. How convenient is that? Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many, many more. So, what are you waiting for? You can also make money with no minimum listenership. It's time to get started.
The views expressed here are those of the host and participating members and do not necessarily represent or reflect the views of Kingya Network.
All right, everyone, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Tonight we have a very special guest, and her name is Miss Marty, and she will tell you a little bit about herself as I bring her on in just a few moments. But I will tell you this, she is an asset to our community. She is passionate about what she does within our community, moves across the world. She's connecting with a lot of different people and organizations for positive change, for healing in our communities. She is definitely about that change, and I am honored to have her on our show this evening. So with no further ado, I will bring Miss Marty on, and she can reintroduce herself to you all and give you more of a detailed background on who she is, what she has accomplished, and what she's working on. Welcome to the show, Marty. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me tonight, Kenya. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. And to the audience, my name is Dr. Marty K. Casey, and I am an activist, which is a word that I've coined. It is a combination of being an actress / activist. I started my activism work when I was 19 years old, attending pretty much an all-white college here in Missouri, and kind of began my work there for good reasons. And it led me to where we are right now in our city and dealing with Ferguson 6 years ago. And from Ferguson, it pushed me into continuously, standing up for the community and doing what is necessary to fight not just for our city, not just for our nation, but fighting across the globe. And that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell. But I'm very humbled and appreciative that God gave me some talents that I could use as a tool to really do the work today to where it's not as abrasive, so to speak. I use the arts to really approach and connect and network, and that has been, really a key of success, if you will, for me, allowing me an opportunity to really make a difference by connecting with other artists and those who have like minds and hearts to just want to see, everyone have the same opportunities.
That's beautiful, and that's lovely the way you put that. And Dr. Marty, I must say that I admire your tenacity. I admire your efforts. I admire what you are doing in our communities, your philanthropic work and everything with your achievements, all of your accomplishments. And just want to say that it is definitely a wonderful thing that you are doing. And you've been doing this for quite some time, working within the community. I do understand that you have a music background as well.
I do. I also started singing at an early age. By the time I discovered that I had a gift or a talent, I was about 12 years old, and so I sang all through high school and college. And I still sing, not as much as I began, because when I first started out, I thought for sure I was going to be the next Whitney Houston, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen quite like that. I actually ended up losing my hearing in my left ear and to a rare disease called Meniere's disease. And so once that happened, it was very devastating for me, and I knew I had to kind of take a different turn in terms of how I was going to still, be creative and use the arts and have the love of singing, but not depend on that to be a career. And that's what led me to then acting. I started off in community theater, and from there I was blessed to land a role in a national stage play early on, way before, I won't say way before, but a few years before even Tyler Perry, when he started coming on the scene or what have you. We were out there doing shows during the Mike Matthew days or what have you. And so I was in a show called Be Careful What You Pray For, and we toured all around the country about 2.5 years with I played side by side with David Peaston, Cuba Gooding Sr., Shirley Murdoch, Clyde Jones, and nephew Tommy.
Beautiful. You certainly have your diverse background field. Now, what our audience don't know, and what I'm actually finding out about you, is that you are the first among the firsts. And I want to share some of that information with our listeners pertaining to some of your background, your past. Being a recipient of a series of firsts, and I'm on your website now. You're the first African American woman to receive a full scholarship in music. The first African American woman freshman class.
Music at Missouri Baptist University. Let's clear that up real quick, because they'll be like, "Huh? Well, how'd that happen?" No, I'm the first to receive a music scholarship at Missouri Baptist University.
Beautiful. I love it. And the first female ambassador in the Midwest to receive highest honors from the United Nations as an ambassador for orphan children to shine ministries in Uganda, Africa, and CDSE, earning the title of Her Excellency Reverend Dr. Marty K. Casey. So, yeah, you have quite a few accomplishments under your belt, and I want to just kind of add some more context to that for our listeners so that they can see the work that you have been doing all these years with national plays, as you just mentioned, and doing work at the Fabulous Fox Theater in St. Louis as well, and so on and so forth. So give us a little bit more history about that. And you're also a motivational speaker, and you were involved with a lot of different national associations as well, including for Black women.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have to say, I've had a lot of opportunities, and I try to make the best of those opportunities. But one of my approaches is that to make sure that if I walk through a door and it opens for me, then I keep the door open for someone else. So I may be the first to start something, but I won't be the last, because I'm going to make sure I hold the door open so others can come through. And that has been a goal of mine for a long time, and I believe that's one of the reasons why I do get the kind of opportunities that I get. God is really, He knows that I'm real passionate about making sure that it is not just for me. He's going to get the glory in the end, and I'm going to make sure some other folks get in the room when I get a chance to get in the room.
I love that, because everyone can have a pie. They don't have to have a piece of the pie. They can have a whole pie, because there's plenty of it to go around. And I love that about you. You are a people person. You are about the community, uplifting of the community, and also being an asset to display love for the community in which you have come from, and bringing back resources to those same communities. So tell us a little bit more about some of your initiatives and what you got going on.
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak on that. I actually, I'm sure I sit amongst a lot of people that are concerned about the influx of gun violence that's happening in our own backyard, in our city, in our communities across the nation. We are experiencing what I call collective trauma. And after the unrest of Ferguson, I began to really kind of look at that from a different scope. And I was like, wow, how are we going to really get to a place where we can forgive one another for some of the things that's happened? And, and the only way that I can see that part of it begins is that we have to personally heal from it. I mean, you got to heal in order to forgive. You got to get to a better place for yourself on the inside in order for you then to get to a better place mentally and kind of let some things go. And I'm like, but you know what? That could be forever if it even happens, because I really was not seeing where we were really working on that part of it, the aspect of healing. So I created an initiative, or I should say it's actually a method. I call it the UnGUN Institute method. It's the HEAL method, HEAL. And HEAL is the acronym, like I said, HEAL. And the H is for how to disarm trauma bullets. And I have a language that's built into this method that is, I believe, speaks to the narrative of what's happening in our streets right now. So how do you disarm trauma bullets? Or what's a trauma bullet? A trauma bullet is something that you may have experienced that's caused you to freeze it's caused you a lot of hurt, a lot of harm. And it's something that when you experience it, or it's re-triggered, if you will, those triggers become a reaction that then causes you to feel that same thing over again. So when you think of the fact that when Ferguson happened, we all experienced a trauma bullet. We all got hit with that. It was like, what in the world just happened? Huh? We can't let that go down like that. And we started protesting and marching and speaking up and, doing the necessary things that we thought that would stop that type of abuse and racial hurt to ever take place in our city again. And right when it looked like we were getting somewhere, a little bit down the street, here we got a whole nother wave of this happening again. Like right before Michael Brown, there was Trayvon Martin. So we really hadn't gotten past Trayvon before that happened with Mike. And so we was just getting shot with trauma bullets all over again. And here we are again with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and so many others. You can't even keep up with the names now. So what do you do with all that hurt and pain? Hurting people hurt people. Yeah. So if we don't remove those trauma bullets, if we don't pull that pain back out, if we don't place it somewhere, if we don't heal from that, then the cycle will continue. And that's why you're seeing a lot of as we say, black on black crime in our communities or what have you, because we have been shot with trauma bullets from other situations, other people, but we haven't been able to remove that hurt. So we got a short fuse. Right. It only takes a little something for somebody to say or do something to us, and then we responding to that. So from there, E is for engage and reverse trauma using art. I'm real big, like I said, because that's where it began for me. I'm an artist, so being able to use the art even for myself to make a difference in my life and how I was dispelling trauma. I wanted to make sure that I created something to encourage others to do the same. And so A is activate your firing power by targeting your bullseye. And so I want to get you and the listeners to start thinking about that right now. What is the most important thing or person in your life? Just take a second and just kind of think about that for a minute. And if you was to look at a bullseye board, you got that small centerpiece, and that's really what you want to keep your focus on. That's your narrow focus, and then you got an outer ring outside of that, and then the rings get bigger and larger and larger. So as you fill in those other rings, you have other things that matter to you. But what is your bullseye? Who is or what is that one thing that you feel like you would take your last breath for? And I don't know if you want to share that out loud right now,